I want to start off explaining what Humans of Bangalore is because a lot of people don't know what it is and why I started it. Of course, it's inspired from Humans of New York, started by Brandon Stanton. Now, why Brandon Stanton started the page was an interesting reason. He used to do a lot of consensus work in New York and he happened to capture a lot of pictures of people. But he went the extra mile. He went and started speaking to people about their everyday lives. How are you? How's your day going? Are you having a nice time? Is there something you'd like to share with me? And this became an interesting collection of stories from the streets of New York. And he decided to publish it. And once he published it on Facebook, he got an overwhelming response. People were suddenly so interested to read about other people's stories. You know, questions that we probably wouldn't ask in India. We're scared to talk to strangers. We don't really even encourage conversation with our neighbors. But here, people were starting to take notice of everybody's stories. A lot of important issues started coming up like, personal struggles, struggles with society. So I took a cue from that. And it so happened that I was on a call with a friend from Delhi. And he was like, why don't you start something like this? So I'll get back to why I began it. There's a reason why I actually started it. In school, I used to be bullied a lot. I used to be bullied because I did not study well. I was a good student till grade 3. And after that, I started failing all my subjects. I found it increasingly difficult to focus on education because I was going through psychological issues of my own. And I couldn't understand that. I was really small. So the teachers would encourage the student to believe me. When they'd say something really mean to me in class, the teacher would add something really sarcastic to it and it would humiliate me. And when I walked into the staff room to collect notebooks or give a retest, they'd be like, oh, look who's come. And it was very difficult for my mother because I was the first daughter in the family after many, many years and she had a lot of hopes for me. And it was difficult because the teachers would tell her, your daughter is not going to succeed, not a single bit, you're not doing your job as a mother. My mom put me through all kinds of tuitions, all kinds of coaching centers to make me study, but I could not. I had a best friend in school, okay? So we were friends for about 11 years. Our family was really close, they were neighbors. So she started doing really well. She kept getting 100 out of 100 or, she was in the first 5 ranks. I was in the bottom 5 ranks. So it became a stigma. Everybody was like, why is Sreya not studying? Is there a problem with the child? Maybe you need to put her in a military school. Maybe you need to put her in some intensive training center. Maybe there's something wrong with her. And slowly I saw my best friend, turn against me. She became a part of the bullying group in school. And I was exercised from the class. Nobody would talk to me. And they'd only talk to me if there was something really, really nasty to say to me. So this went on for a couple of years. And it wasn't until I was age 13, I told my mom I'm going to change schools because CBSE education is not helping me. And the school couldn't pass me anymore. The higher the classes got, it became really difficult for them to pass me because who doesn't study well, right? Like, who cannot get a minimum 35 pass mark? So I changed schools and I started rebelling. I had no respect for teachers, no respect for my peers. I used to bunk classes and all the time I had, I'd spent in NCC, I'd spent it playing volleyball, or I'd spent it hanging out with all the neighborhood boys and girls who would bunk classes. And I refused to do that because I didn't want to be a part of a system that was constantly oppressing me as a child and telling me what to do and what not to do, especially during my teenage years. And I found it difficult to accept that women can behave a certain way when they're young girls. And after you grow up, it's difficult to be who you want to be. Suddenly there are these rules and regulations you need to follow. Suddenly society is important. You have to maintain your stature as a woman. Or you come from a very affluential family. You come from a very, sophisticated family. How can you behave like this? How can you say things like this? It became about that. And the school that I joined, unfortunately, was much worse than the school that I was in before. So I couldn't do it anymore. 3 years I tried to study, and 10th grade, just before my board exams, I said I'm not going to do it anymore. I cannot write my board exams, so I quit school, and I decided that I'll study it in private, and I joined a state board private school, and I learned all the syllabus and I passed. And from then on till college years, the journey has been difficult. I went through a physically and emotionally abusive relationship with a man, and I saw the way the world looked at women, of not having opinions, of having to accept, certain dress codes, certain behavioral codes. You cannot talk like this. How dare you raise your voice? How dare you express your opinion? How dare you say something like that? Do you not have respect for religion? Do you have no respect for family, authority? No, I don't. I do not have single respect for anything that oppresses me as a woman. And I learned that as I grew older. It wasn't until 2014, yes, it's 2016 now, 2014, that when I was having a conversation with my friend over call, that I realized that I have to do something about it. And that's when I impulsively began Humans of Bangalore. The idea for Humans of Bangalore, for me personally, has been identifying people like me who've been oppressed by society in some way. Sexual minorities, regional minorities, anybody who hasn't been able to say what they want to say, feel what they want to feel. And it was a turning point in my life, because I learned that I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2. It is a mental disorder, and it is a mood disorder basically. And you range from going to depressed and to getting really excited and to being suicidal. So I did try to attempt suicide. I still have a mark here on my hand, but I went to therapy, and the doctor gave me medications, and he said, you'll get better. There's no cure for bipolar, but you will get better with time. But Humans of Bangalore changed that for me. When I went out, when I started talking to people, when I started asking them questions about their lives, it changed me. It made me realize my problems were this small. Everything that I had gone through in my life was this small. These are people who have been oppressed by society ever since they've been born. Like, there was this girl that I met through my story. Her parents were divorced, and they'd forgotten about her completely. They had completely forgotten about her, and she was surviving on her own to pay for her college, working 3 jobs. And there were a lot of people I met. I met a transgender activist. Her name is Sheila. Reshma, she is in Sangama right now. I think Akka will know her. I met Kokila, an HIV survivor, rape victim who is now a sex worker. She's working for a lot of rights for her community. I met LGBT community people. I met people who had left their jobs to pursue what they wanted, and they faced a lot of criticism from society, saying, how can you leave a stable job? You're earning this much money. How can you leave that and go start something on your own? It's not possible. So a lot of people like this, people who were oppressed by their own family, to not be able to say what you want to say. So I met all these people through Humans of Bangalore, and recently we did a fundraiser in November as a Diwali project for Teach for India. The goal was 75,000. That school did not have proper toilet infrastructure. Feces and urine smell was reeking into the classroom of the students. Can you imagine studying like that? I know I had a really bad time in school, but I never went through anything like this. They didn't have tables and benches, whatever you're sitting on, they did not have. They had the cold, hard cement floor to sit on. It's difficult for children to study like that. So I went, spent some time, and I put all of their stories together on Humans of Bangalore, and we raised 1,30,000 for that school. And I'm not done. This is not my work. This is the work of people involved in that community. There was an NGO that approached me saying, we build toilets for schools. So we want to help the school out. So now that school is getting toilets built as well. No more urine and feces smell in that school. It's getting sorted out. So what I want to say is basically, for me, it was difficult because there was negativity everywhere. There was stigma for a lot of things. People could not believe that I tried to commit suicide. You don't look like that. You don't look like a person who's depressed. You don't look like that at all. I mean, I couldn't even place you in that sphere. mental disorders have no symptoms. They do not have symptoms, they cannot show. Okay? You have to spend time with the person. You need to stop judging people if they're depressed or if they're feeling suicidal or whatever it is that they're going through. And I don't think in India we're still ready for something like that. We're still not ready to accept that, yes, it's a chemical imbalance in the brain. It's not some mad person who needs to be chained. It's not some, crazy person. No, it is very much a health issue and we need to be more supportive of it. On that note, I'd like to just conclude saying, if I can make a difference in all of these people's lives by being a positive person, then so can you. It just starts with one person. You be positive to me, you go and help somebody out who wants to do, something they really want to do. Say they want to be a chef, they want to, go and join a culinary school, leaving behind their IT job. Let them do it. Go support them. Say yes. Yes, you can do this. Leave your bank balance. Do not be identified by your bank balance or opinions of society. Go do what you want, and if you are able to create that positive vibe, you're creating a huge community, okay, that will be constantly supportive, and you're only going to be sending on positive vibes to each other. Imagine living in a community like that. That's what I want to live in. I do not want to go back to being that 9-year-old girl who was bullied in school. I want to be this woman who's standing here in front of you today, and I want all of you to be like that. Thank you.